for our viewers, this is Dr. Dixie Santana from the Universidad Panamericana here in Guadalajara. And today we're talking about choosing course material that motivates students. Dixie, tell us about how one should choose course material for their classes. What should you look for if you're a teacher?
Well, there's a lot of material out there, and there's not anything. There's no perfect course book,
right?
Because it really depends on the needs of your students, and even all of your students are not the same. So you have different needs within one group of students or within let's say one institution. But really what you should be looking for is that something that challenges your students, I think. Brian Tomlinson, who's done a lot of research into materials and materials development, he says that something that happens with course books is that they tend to be very bland.
Right.
He says that what happens is that since the same book is marketed the world over,
right,
you have to make a course book that's not offensive to anybody.
Right.
Okay, and so because they're not offensive to anybody, they tend to be very bland, and that's not the way that people learn.
Right.
People learn by being emotionally engaged.
Right.
Okay, and they need provocative materials. Provocative, not in the sense maybe of polemic, but provocative in the sense that it provokes you to think, or to feel, or to react in some way.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that the books just don't quite get it, and for a teacher, you need to motivate the students, and by bringing in this provocative material, that's a help. Have I understood that correctly?
Yeah. Motivation, I think, is not quite the key, because people have their own internal motivations.
Right.
They're in your classroom for a reason, and that reason may be because somebody sends them, or it may be because the program says that they have to be there. For example, in the case of a university where English is a graduation requirement,
right,
that's why they're there, right? So they have their own inner or outer motivations, right? So don't worry about motivation. What you want to do is engage the students in what they're doing. If they're engaged, then they'll be more interested, and they will be more active. Okay. And by being active, there's more a chance of significant learning, of meaningful learning. Okay. So yes, provocative material, going back to your question, provocative material can be a key to help you there.
Yeah, okay. Well, say I've got this bland textbook, and many of them are. It's not really the publisher's fault. What would you suggest as provocation? What could you add to a textbook? What steps should a teacher take to bring in this provocative or motivational or engaging material? Okay,
one thing that I see is that there's a tendency to simplify things, to make books very easy. And actually people tell you, I'm not a teacher, I'm a facilitator. And I don't like to think of myself as a facilitator. I like to think of myself as a complicator.
Okay, a complicator, all right.
Yeah, because I think that if we make things too easy for the students, then they're not really using their mental processes, and by not using their mental processes, they're not really learning. And a lot of times you'll see that they complain about this, not only in English classes, but in other classes as well. They say, we're not really learning anything.
Right, or they think they're not learning anything.
Or they think they're not learning anything. Okay, so what I propose to really get active engagement in the class is to challenge the students in some way. It can be an intellectual challenge, right?
Right.
Give the students material that's a little bit more difficult than they're used to, where there isn't only one possible answer, where there's more than one possible answer, or the answer is not so easy to find, right?
Right.
Okay. Where they have to engage with the text a little bit more, where there has to be pure interaction, where maybe they have to go outside of the classroom to find the answers that they're looking for.
Okay, so a research project might be a good idea.
A research project is a great idea.
A play. We've talked about that before, or small plays.
Yeah, a school play.
One act, maybe. Now, there are some places where they like a steady schedule of events, and that there are certain guideposts or mile markers you have to reach. Milestones. So what would you suggest to a teacher who wanted to try something new, but might be a little concerned about the administrative fossilization, if we can use that term.
Okay, well, remember that I'm an administrator too, all right? And I understand that you don't want everybody doing their own thing because you have to guarantee quality at the end, right? I mean, you're the one who has to face the parents and say why they reached the goals or why your students reached the goals or didn't reach the goals.
Right.
So what I think you have to do is instead of throwing out the course book and throwing out all the materials and just doing your own stuff, I think what you have to do is try to incorporate it into small doses. Yes.
Okay, little chunks.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say that you're going to do a school play. So instead of throwing out your course book and working all the time on the school play, what you're going to do that is instead of instead of the speaking practice that is recommended by the book, what I'm going to do is speaking practice through the rehearsal of the play.
I see.
All right? And what you have to do is couch it in those terms for your administrator. Okay?
Right.
If you give your administrator like a clear idea of what he or she can expect, okay, these are my learning objectives and these are the outcomes, okay, then you'll more easily have them on your side than against you. Okay?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And in the interest of full disclosure, Dixie is one of my administrators, so we've been down this road before. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, it was